Hi everybody, welcome to the monthly astrology snapshot for the month beginning at this massive solar eclipse new moon in Cancer happening on Solstice on the 21st of June. So with the solstice is really about the change of the seasons, and it's believed in astrology that whatever's going on at that turning point. So the solstice is, for us in the southern hemisphere, it's the longest night, and for you guys up in the northern hemisphere, it's the longest day, summer solstice. So it's the shift. After this, the days will get shorter in the northern hemisphere, moving towards winter, and vice versa in the southern hemisphere. So it's believed that this will, whatever happens around solstice, will be seeded into the season, the change, this next few months. So we're really, with this solstice having a new moon solar eclipse in Cancer, this is going to be a big influence over the coming season, which is really, what is Cancer? Cancer is symbolic of humanity, humans. It's really important to note we have Mercury also going retrograde, is retrograde now in Cancer. So it's rethinking. Mercury retrogrades are always about rethinking, reviewing. As you evolve more along the path of awakening and awareness, Mercury retrograde cycles actually can be really important and helpful on your personal path, because they can really support you to go back over and review what it is that you've been looking at. It's a moment to stop and go in, and reflect. So it's not always about communications going weird. That does happen, but there's so much more to these cycles than, the computer breaking down. So Cancer, it's about humanity. It's rethinking humanity, the way that we look at humanity right now. And, I'll bring in at this moment, we have the new moon in Cancer. So whenever there's the new moon, it's always the full moon will be in the opposite side. It's the axis. So the full moon is going to be in Capricorn, and that is a lunar eclipse. It's not a strong lunar eclipse, but it's still an eclipse. So this is the last eclipses we have in this last cycle of eclipses. This is the last round. And this has been going on for a year and a half of this unraveling, unpacking, the breaking down of power structures, hierarchical structures. It's been working because that's Capricorn. So that's been being worked through in this last bit of time. We can see that happening in the world. And this lunar eclipse is no exception to keeping that energy going of the vertical structures that have held together our reality, that are going through a massive transformation. For those that are aware of the tarot and the major arcana, the blasted tower, the tower card, is an accurate depiction of this Capricorn breakdown of hierarchy, cycle that we're in. The blasted tower is depicted as a lightning bolt hitting the tower, the ivory tower, the made up structure. You can liken this also to our personalities. What egos, what stories have we told about ourselves, built up about who we think we are so we feel safe in the world. All of these structures that are, they're not authentic. Right now they're being massively challenged in the field. And it's breaking down, and all the building blocks that built these towers are all these individuals, minority groups, all of these little pieces of society that are now feeling even more separate than ever. It is a tricky time. It is a time that we must remain mindful and aware and really connected to truth. And with this new moon solar eclipse happening in Cancer, and new moons are always about new beginnings. It's seeding in an intention. Magically or ritually, ceremonially, people work with the new moon to seed something new into their lives, to or nourish existing intentions and goals and desires and plans. You know, my advice with people that I work in ritual with is always make sure you're seeding in from a deeper place, from your soul, not from the ego. I mean, you can, but there will always be consequences for that. But with this happening in Cancer, it's all about nourishment. You know, it's the Great Mother. It is humanity. It is connection with your community. It is a time to reflect and tune into what will sustain me. What can I seed in? What, you know, with all of the movements that are going on, you know, all of the protesting and the rioting and, you know, massive changes. This is a really powerful moment to sit and really reflect on what it is that you want to do to contribute to humanity. You know, with this awareness that we are, the tower is breaking down, there are all these separate pieces, seemingly separate. We're coming apart, but a new structure will form. And it's coming, and it's there in the astrology, the cycles where this unification, reunification will happen. So we also have this lunar month, Venus going direct. She is now visible. She disappeared. I've done some pieces on this. I've spoken about this a lot because it's been the timing of it, and just I can feel this Venus energy's impact on the collective story. But now she is visible in the morning. If you're a morning person, look to the east where the sun is rising and you'll see her just before the sun rises. And she's close to the earth still right now. She's super bright, beautiful. Have a look. And she's risen, and in ancient astrology, she's risen as the morning star, Athena. And Athena is the goddess of war and wisdom, but she's not about war. She's about advising and strategy with war. And so I see it that she wasn't visible. She was conjunct the sun in the sky. She was right with the sun. We couldn't see her. I see it as her being in a conversation with the sun, the king / queen, the center of our solar system. And she's come back with a message. And just after this new moon, on the 25th, she'll be going direct. She's coming forwards with a message for humanity. And I really feel she's going to be bringing some powerful energy. For the second half of this year, we will have Mars moving through Aries. It's a warrior, passion. So I have a feeling we're going to see more of this, like, standing for what we feel is true. Aries and Mars are what I would stand for, what I would die for. So Venus rising up in this powerful, discerning wisdom goddess. In Gemini, she's got messages for us, the sacred messages. She wants to guide us through this time. So if you're into astronomy, astrology, ritual, go and look at her. Ask her to guide you at this time. She's really powerful, especially on the 25th. If you're one for ritual, work with her at that time. Ask her for guidance. So Mercury will be retrograde, like I said, in Cancer, rethinking humanity, rethinking the way that we look after each other, how we nourish the tribe. It's going to be a really interesting month. The energies, the cycles we're in, they're not ending anytime soon. And when we come out of this, we will have the nodes. So the nodes are in the Sagittarius Gemini axis. And so this is really going to be this 1.5 year cycle that we're moving into. We've come out of Capricorn Cancer, which is patriarchy, structures breaking down, which is Capricorn is like what you do in the world. It's work, career. Cancer is home and nourishment. Capricorn is providing, whereas Cancer is about nurturing. You can almost see it as Capricorn is father, Cancer is mother, but also Capricorn can really be the elders, you know, the grandparents, the wisdom people in the tribe, and Cancer can be seen as the parents. So we've been going through this big journey, and this is the last piece. So you may find you have things coming up around your parents, around your ancestral lines. Cancer is where we've come from. Capricorn is where we're going. You might find that there's, clearing out, seeking permission, validation at this full moon. Clear it out, release that, waiting for that, authority to say, yes, you can. I mean, there's a place for that. I'm not anti rules and laws and lineages, but they're changing. And we're moving into this Gemini Sagittarius container, which we're actually already in, but it's building up steam, which is about knowledge, truth. What is the truth? What is the truth? Sagittarius and Gemini wants to get to the bottom of the knowledge and the information and gather data, collect info and piece it together. There is truth, the truth, and then there's a deeper truth. There's deeper truth, which is love. It's always love. The deeper truth of all of these separating groups that we're experiencing. We're in this turn of the ages, and human developmental researchers have shown that when there's a big shift in as we move through the levels and we evolve, there's conflict. As one cycle ends and another begins, there's conflict. The two meet and clash. You bring two weather systems and it's like they get caught up, and that's what we're going through right now. So coming back to the deeper truth, if you start spinning, you're up in this ego truth and story and logic, drop in. Mercury, retrograde, Cancer, solar eclipse, solstice, new moon in Cancer, humanity. There's a deep, we are all human. We can all meet at the level of being a human. Let's start there. Then let's look at all the differences. But we are all human. We are all from this planet. We are all indigenous to Earth. Some people might be aliens. I can't prove that. They're not. but from as far as I can see, we are all from Earth. And that is the truth. And I'm not dismissing the difficulties for minority groups. I'm absolutely not. I'm definitely not. But I feel that there's a calling at this new moon, at this solar eclipse, to see it in humanity. We are moving into the age of Aquarius. It's really going to be kicked off, as I will keep repetitively saying. I'm sorry for being repetitive. However, I know it's important to keep tuning into it, because we are creating the future. We are all together co-creating this. And the age of Aquarius is about the fair, not equal, the fair distribution of wealth, knowledge, power. Fair means, for example, there's 10 people eating a meal, and there's a 40-year-old man and a 2-year-old little girl. Are you going to give them equal meals? No, that's not appropriate, but you can give a fair amount. And we all know what that is. That's not rocket science. We don't need science to tell us what that is. Yes, it's a more subjective view and it brings it back to the individual, but in the context of the tribe, if we're giving a fair distribution of all of this, it functions at a higher level. The whole tribe will operate because the resources won't be wasted. There won't be all of this food to one person and no one gets any. We will figure out a way to do this. The internet is already there. Blockchain, cryptocurrency is already there. The decentralization of power, the transparency of knowledge, and it is happening. So my advice is stay with the deeper truth. Let this month support you to come back to those deeper truths that are beyond the story, but we are all human. We are all indigenous to this planet, and it is love. It is always love. And we can drop in and start from that. Start there. That's the new paradigm. So, yeah, have an amazing month. Stay stay balanced, stay centered while we're going through eclipse seasons, because eclipses, and there's 3, these are the second 2. We've already had one last cycle. They can bring about abrupt, sudden changes. And if you're bolstered into your truth within, into your heart, into love, into your own values and integrity, you will navigate this time. While the tower is breaking apart, look for the cracks, because that's where the new reality wants to emerge. Keep looking for the cracks. That's where you can see where you can bring value to people's lives with business, with, you know, new creative offerings. Look for the cracks and stay with the truth and stay with love. Okay, I'm sending you all love. Have an amazing month, and I wish you well.